Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria Q. Kane.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Northwest controversial piercing. A mother who was charged after her son was killed by an alligator. A woman forced to give birth in an unusual location in the hospital due to overcrowding. The risk of scrolling on social media while on the toilet, and human remains found in a pirate. All that and more on today's episode. Let's get started with Northwest. She's been in the news a lot the past couple of weeks.
Well, Kim Kardashian's getting slammed for allowing her 12-year-old daughter to get a dermal piercing in her middle finger. I guess I'm just like, I'm thinking of Lillian, also 12 years old. And I'm just like, why is this necessary that she got this done?
Well, I mean, she's also wearing a corset with her boobs pushed up.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, obviously,
I think is more of a problem, honestly.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. I was going to say, obviously there's a problem with letting a child so young get a piercing in their finger that is, honestly, in the picture, it looks infected already.
It does.
And my biggest problem with this is she's wearing this over-sexualized outfit with a short skirt, with a corset, and her chest is exposed too much for a child. And that bothers me more than her mom letting her get the piercing. I mean, why are we letting her dress like this?
Because, like, her mother literally got her famous by distributing her sex tape. Like, I don't think that we need to talk about anything else.
Even if she was 16 or 17
they're
years
getting
old,
like, and you would say that, oh, that's ridiculous. Like, they're old by like sexy young woman standards, right? They're just becoming old women. They're like my age. So they're like, all right, now we got to push it on to the next. Then they had the Jenner girls that are like 20s and getting into the 30s. And now it's like, okay, next generation.
Even if she was 16 or 17 years old, this outfit would be so wildly inappropriate. And the fact that she is 12 years old, I mean, she like might not even have her period yet and she's dressing like this. It's in public. Like, it's not like this was playing dress up in the privacy of her home. She's paparazzi'd walking the streets in this outfit.
Well, anyway, so it's not a dermal piercing. A dermal piercing is like, the one that was popular a couple years ago when like a girl would have a diamond in her face.
Okay.
Just like, not like ours that got pierced through the lip, like the one that was just like on the cheek or something like that. That's a dermal piercing. And essentially they just do like a punch biopsy, which is like a hole puncher for skin, and put a hole, and then they put this anchor inside there and they put a diamond in for it to stay there. This is a surface piercing. It's just a little bit different because it goes in and out of the skin, and it has like a barbell underneath of the skin. And you could see when you look at the picture, like you said, it looks like it's not happy, because those piercings, I just hate them. The most common surface piercing that you would think of is like a belly button or your eyebrow, because it's not like your ear that it goes in and out. You know what I mean? It goes in and out, but it's under your skin. So with any foreign body that we talk about all the time, your body's like, I want you out. I recognize you as foreign, and I'm going to work my hardest to get you out of my body. So that's what it does. And for some people, it heals and it looks nice. And for other people, your body just literally pushes it out. So, and I'm sure thousands of you listening right now had your belly button pierced at some point and could be like, it looked so bad. I have a scar forever. When I got pregnant, my belly button scar was like the size of a head. All of these different things. And then of course there's ones that are listening that are like, I got it and I never had a problem with it. So, especially I feel like with darker skinned people, the scar is just, like, she's going to have a scar on her finger from it. And it's kind of like, is that necessary? Like, and the middle finger thing and all that. It's just like kind of corny. It's just like, okay, can you scream for attention anymore?
She's
all
a
of
little
you.
kid.
I know. And it's just like, whatever. Like they do it because everybody's talking about it, but it's just like, she's a kid. She's a child. And like,
well, a comment I saw a lot was, who is even doing the piercing? And I think this just plays into your whole VIP treatment theory.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because no normal shop would have done this.
Like, like I would always, if we ever did a piercing or anything, I would always go to Infinite in Philly. They're like a trusted place. And I feel like if I walked in there right now with Lillian and was like, "Can you give my child a dermal piercing?" they would like laugh in my face.
Well, yeah.
It's just like it it's just I don't know. But like yeah, like if Kim Kardashian calls anybody, they're gonna do it just because whatever. It's just
I feel like I was 16, almost 17 when I got my piercing in my face, and didn't you have to sign all this paperwork?
yeah. I
And that
just
was
think
the
that there's a
absolute
big
youngest.
there's a big yeah, there's a big difference between 16 and 12, like whatever.
Well, yeah, and that's my problem with the outfit too, because she is a child. Stop trying to force her to grow up. I mean, her life is already bad between just constantly being in the press, having her whole entire childhood on a reality show, and then everything going on with her whack job dad. Does
Well,
she need any more
listen,
problems?
in my opinion, her whacked up job dad is equally as bad as her mother. It's just like her mom. Like it's funny that everybody's like, "Oh, Kanye is so crazy and this and that," and you're like, "Yeah, he totally sucks," but like, so does she. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's equal, like equal bad parents, just in different kind of ways. It's like, oh, you could have the total racist guy, or you could have the one that sexually exploits you. Like, choose your poison.
I feel bad for those kids. It's not like they chose to be part of that life.
Well, I mean, they just it just is, it is what it is. But you kind of could see what's going, like even when they go out in public like that, you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. And just thinking about like, times are like my daughters will be going to a dance of some sort, like a formal dance and a dress, and I see this on, we were talking about Sheen on yesterday's episode. Sheen's a good one to have these over sexualized outfits for little kids. That even some of the bathing suits and stuff that I ordered for the girls this summer had like like that ruching like on the butt crack to accentuate their butt, and I'm like, my daughter's 10. Does she need to have her butt accentuated right now?
I know, it's so weird.
Another one of the bathing suit tops that I ordered, I sent everything back because I was like, this stuff is total shit. One of them was like trying like a bikini, like I guess you would call like a string bikini. It was two little fabrics of triangles, and I'm just like, why? Like, why are you? Why? Like, it's funny to even have them put it on because you're just like, no, this is something like a sexy woman would wear, and you're 10. So there is like a certain portion of that you're just like, okay, this is like inappropriate for children. And I don't want to sound like a prude or anything, but I just think like when I saw that corset, because when you look, it looks like she has like breasts pushed up. And like,
Well,
I just think at 12 years old, you really shouldn't be accentuating boobs unless you want people to look at them.
this is my problem with it. Like around her age, I was super into Green Day and My Chemical Romance and Phantom of the Opera, right? Like in my peak emo phase. And I would wear corsets from Hot Topic, but they never pushed my boobs up like that. Like they covered my chest.
Yeah, like because it wasn't really a corset like
And
that.
you
That's
actually
like
made me
she's
wear
wearing
a
like a
long sleeve
legit.
T-shirt underneath of them. Like
I
you
did.
wouldn't even
I
let
was
me
gonna
wear
say
'em
like
bare.
I think you had one and you wore it over a long sleeve black shirt.
No, you were straight up like you're not wearing this
Yeah,
unless you wear a T-shirt
and
or
you
something
you
under
could
it.
wear like you could wear the corset with lots of stuff. I just think like listen, she's 12, and I guess yeah, I guess it's like you're even more judgmental because you're like, we know how your parents are, we know how you became to be, like, and they're just you see that they're trying to like pass it on to the next, because they did, and we know that they did it with with the other two, especially like Kylie. Like, it was like she was a little girl in the show, and then all of a sudden it was like,
Yeah, but it's one thing if you're like an older teenager starting to be an adult and you make those choices yourself. It's one thing if you're a kid and your parent is encouraging that and trying to blanket it as like, oh, she's fashionable, she's expressing herself. Like, no, you're the parent and you're responsible for being like, this is inappropriate for you to wear outside of this household.
anyway, yeah, so we were just talking about the piercing. Like, I like there's going to be people that absolutely have never had a problem with them. I just particularly have not been a fan of the dermal piercings and or the surface piercings. I had one when I was 16 years old on my eyebrow, and I still have a scar from it till this day. And mine never even got super nasty like I've seen them get. So, when I was growing up, it was really popular to get them like in the back of your neck, like underneath of your hair. So, especially like if you can get one on an area of your body that's like doesn't have that much access and your skin's not bending that much, you can probably have an easier time with it. But like if you have your belly button and you're wearing pants that are constantly rubbing against it, or your finger that's bumping everything all the time, I just think that like you're just increasing the risk for it to be angry all the time.
All right, this next story is kind of hard to follow, so bear with me while I try to explain it. So, this mother had 4 children: a newborn, a 6-year-old son, a daughter, which they didn't disclose the age, and a 12-year-old son. So, she said she gave her 12-year-old son a sleeping aid before he went to bed on August 13th. At 3 a.m., she woke up to care for the newborn, saw him in the kitchen looking for a snack, and guided him back to bed. So then the next morning, she takes the 6-year-old to school with the newborn and leaves the 12-year-old and the daughter home alone. She assumed they had been sleeping and didn't check on them. So she gets back from the school drop off, and that's when the daughter says the 12-year-old isn't home, and the mom goes into the room and sees the windows open and he's just completely missing.
So he's missing, and he's like, where do you even start of how wrong this is? Whatever. I don't know what a sleep aid is either for a child. Is it like a melatonin gummy, or are you giving this kid something that
Like
prescription?
Benadryl or something else.
Yeah, like I don't know, but that it would almost make me. I don't want to say that because I think that melatonin, like Lucia told me she had this like crazy. She took a melatonin gummy before school because she just started school and told me about this crazy like dream she had with maggots on her body or something outrageous. And I'm like, yeah, there's like this funny meme going around with like this giant like cricket with that's like attacking people, and it's like, oh, my dreams when I'm on melatonin because it happens to me too if I ever take one. The mom gave him this medication knowing he has a history of sleepwalking, got up in the morning and didn't even check on him to see if he was okay, and didn't even realize it until 10 in the morning. And then when she got home, the daughter had said that the kid was missing and went out the bedroom window. So I don't know how old the daughter was. Was she significantly younger and couldn't really communicate with the mother as well, to be like, Mom?
Well, she might have just, they shared a bedroom, so she might have just woken up and been like, he's not there and the window's open.
Yeah, so the kid's missing, and he was missing for a few days, correct?
No, like weeks. They didn't so he went missing on August 14th, and they didn't find his body until August 26th.
Oh, God.
So it was a long time. And then it seems like he got attacked. They declared that his death was due to an alligator.
Yeah, but they said it was because of blunt trauma.
So what does that mean?
I guess because the alligator can grab on and can, like, you know, when they do the alligator roll thing, they like roll around and swing the kid around and stuff. So he could have grabbed on to him somehow and just like banged him against something, or because you wouldn't use the term blunt trauma if an alligator bites were what caused the injuries. So it has something to do with the alligator like banging him against some kind of a blunt surface and causing issues. But now the mom is getting in trouble for this.
Well, what was interesting is I guess they just moved into this house that they were living in, and at their old house only 2 weeks before he went missing, police had found the boy naked and drinking water from a drainage ditch. And then 3 days after that, a neighbor knocked on the door because he had gotten out again, and that incident wasn't reported to police.
Yeah, so there's a history here of, and what's up with the naked and drinking out of the drain and everything, just because they thought he sleptwalk again.
Well, is it sleepwalking, or does he have a mental issue going on?
I don't know.
Because
I mean, like when you're sleepwalking, like you hear of people doing weird shit.
Yeah, totally, but I don't know.
Like, remember, I feel like on this show at some point we were talking about someone that was sleepwalking and the wasn't it like a wife was sleepwalking and the husband videotaped her doing it and she was like putting the hairbrush in the microwave and stuff, like doing weird shit.
Yeah, but we also kind of called bullshit on that because anybody could reenact that stuff. How would you be able to tell? Why? So she was charged with negligent homicide and second degree cruelty of juveniles. Like, where do you think this charge comes from?
Well, maybe from l- leaving a child that has a known documentation of a medical issue alone for hours without
Yeah, but she
protecting
thought he
them.
was sleeping in his bedroom.
He was, yeah, but he's 12 and I don't know how old the other kid is. I mean, is there a law like how old you're allowed to leave your kids? And
I don't think that part matters as much because even let's say she did go in the bedroom, he might have gotten out in the middle of the night, and if she woke up at a normal hour, he could have still been gone at that time.
yeah, but if you know that your child has a problem and you're not doing everything in your power to protect them, and there's clearly documentation of this kid sleepwalking, and there's been 2 incidents where the kid has went outside. So like if she's not really locking down the house and making sure that that kid doesn't get outside, then it's kind of her fault if he gets hurt. It's not like if it was the first time, she probably wouldn't get in trouble. I'm sure they did an investigation and found a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, this case is
But
just so weird, just every detail of it.
yeah, and I mean, it's terrible to think that that happened, that the kid, I mean, listen, like even if you're a negligent parent, like no one ever deserves their child to be missing for weeks and not knowing what happened to them and stuff. It's just I imagine it's the worst thing a person could go through.
No, totally. This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
Guys, last week for Forensic Friday, we talked about dismembered body parts and how we can identify if it was done before or after a person dies and what happens when we find a body part. And this week's Forensic Friday, I don't know. I'll surprise you that we do it every Friday, so stay tuned for that. The Gross Room is on sale now for only $20 for 365 days of gross. So you'll be able to have access to new articles daily and God, almost 6 years of material from the past since 2019, since we started the Gross Room. So thousands of articles, videos, photos, and more.
Yeah, head over to thegrossroom.com now to sign up.
All right, this is an interesting story about an unusual location for childbirth.
Yeah, so this pregnant lady was forced to give birth on a hospital waiting room couch due to overcrowding issues at the hospital because they weren't able to get her a bed in between her water breaking, her getting admitted, and then, the final push, I guess.
Yeah, that's unusual. I feel like when I had Lillian, that kind of happened, that I went into the hospital and I didn't even have a doctor from my practice deliver because they had way too much stuff going on at the time. But it wasn't enough that they weren't able to give me a room and attend to me. Um, I like just thinking about giving birth is just like an anxiety situation, and then think them telling you don't have a room and you just like having to do it on a couch, like in a side room, is just a little crazy.
Well, she said they were told to stand in the hallway after they were admitted. And, like, I've obviously never been in labor, but could you imagine being in labor pain and them just being like, go stand over there for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely happens to people more often in the emergency room when you go there and they're so busy that they're like, oh, sometimes you have to wait in the hallway or something like that. But no, I can't imagine it. And it's actually crazy because when you hear the details of the case, it's just they said that they had 24 births altogether on that day, on July 31st.
Wow.
And at the time that she gave birth, there was like 17 other patients at the same time. And they said they only had 3 employees.
And after giving birth, they still didn't have a bed for her.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
this is so ridiculous.
So I did the math and figured out that if the birth date was July 31st, then the conception date would be around the first week of November. So it's just interesting because you would think like it would be Christmas or Thanksgiving, like holidays that statistically like more people have sex.
Well, maybe they're getting busy on Halloween.
Halloween,
right
yeah,
after.
exactly. Or Day of the Dead. So yeah, that's a lot. But what's interesting about this article, which is definitely why I wanted to talk about this story for you guys, because the nurses were interviewed and were just like, we're so short staffed, but like, who would want to work here under these conditions? And this took place in Australia. So you're like, okay, because a lot of times people who, especially who work in American healthcare and everything, will say that it's terrible. Mostly every nurse is just like, there's some nurses that are like, oh, I get treated so well at my job, but most that I've talked to are just like, you wouldn't believe how short staffed we are and this and that. And it's happening in Australia too.
Well, obviously, this is not the same level, but I think we could say this about a lot of jobs because, not to sound like a boomer, but it's like, why would you work at a store or something when you could just go online and like play video games on YouTube and make a bunch of money, right? Even as dumb as yesterday, I went to Staples to do a UPS return, and there was literally 2 people working in the entire store, and there was a bunch, actually, the most people I've ever seen in Staples in my life, now that I think about it. And everybody was waiting so long because they just can't get anybody to work there.
The standards too at stores have changed so much. I mean, I understand I'm getting older, so things are going to be different than the 90s when I started working. But like when I started working at Acme when I was 16 years old, I had to take a test to learn every single piece of produce that might have came across my belt. You know what I mean? I'm serious. Like I didn't know the difference between like a Bosque pear and a Bartlett pear, all this stuff. Like they would just give you like an endive and be like, "What is this?" Without the sticker. Like you had to know all this stuff. And now it's like fast forward to 2025 where we're supposed to be getting better, right? Every year we're supposed to be getting better. It's like I'm at the mall yesterday and got like the girls like a little sweatsuit thing, and she says, "We don't have any bags." And I was like, "You don't have any bags?" Like a different size. It wasn't like I didn't have the size. No, there's no bags in the entire store. So I have
Wait,
to walk through the mall holding a sweatsuit. Like
wait,
there's just no standards anymore. It's just outrageous.
can we bring it back to your produce test? Why can't why can't you tell the difference between parsley and cilantro at 46 years old? If you
Oh,
had to
it looks
take this produce
because
test.
I don't like look at the actual leaf. I always this is Maria saying this because one day I cooked like some Italian meal that called for like a lot of parsley, like a half of a cup of fresh parsley, and I put cilantro because I had both of them in the fridge and they were just like not paying attention. I was just like, why does this taste the same? Like something's not right about it.
The best is I was eating it and I was like, weird choice, but whatever. And the next day, you were
I
like,
just couldn't pinpoint.
oh
I
my
don't have
God, I
that
put
thing that cilantro
cilantro.
tastes like. I think it tastes good,
Yeah,
but
I think
like
it does
Gabe was
too.
just like, yeah, I mean it tastes like he didn't say anything, and I'm just like, okay. But Pop Pop apparently hates it, and he didn't say nothing. He ate it. Like I was like, okay,
Yeah, but he's the king of I hate it, but I'd eat it anyway.
yeah.
So
So
that's why we
clearly,
call
I
him the human
didn't, I
garbage
didn't, I
disposal.
didn't look at. Come on, like flat leaf parsley and cilantro look similar if you just like have them in a bag in your fridge and you're just like not paying
But you
attention.
can tell the difference between a Bosque pear and
Oh yeah,
Bartlett
yes,
pear?
they're definitely different.
Okay. All right. A new study has come out revealing that people who use their phones on the toilet are almost twice as likely to develop hemorrhoids.
Yeah, so this story again is a there's all these cool things that are going to be happening. I don't want to say cool, but cool things that are going to be changing with anatomy and physiology of humans because of technology. And like, you know, back in the day when you used to sit on the toilet and have to poop, you would have to like grab your mom's shampoo bottle and look at it. That was like your entertainment, right? And now it's like people have their phone in their hand all the time and they end up zoning out and sitting on the toilet way longer than they ever did, to the point where in this study they said on average a human sits on the toilet for 2 whole days of their life every year. That's like 48 hours in a year on the toilet. And it's just not good. The increased pressure just increases your chances of getting hemorrhoids 46%. which is a significant number. That's a huge number. So they're just advising like, hey, don't bring your phone in because but it's true though. Like you're like, let me just check my Instagram. And then all of a sudden it's been 10 minutes because you saw a couple of your friends posted things and you get sucked in. And it's happening that people are sitting on the toilet way longer and it's just not good.
It's so funny you brought that up that we're going to be seeing like changes over time with technology use because I was listening to this podcast the other day and they were talking about that documentary on Netflix that just came out about the mom who was cyberbullying her
Oh,
daughter,
yeah.
you know? And the one girl on it made the joke like they should have known it was her to begin with because she had tech neck.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, as a victim of hemorrhoids this year, I would say it's not something you're gonna want. It's horrible. It does not feel very good at all. And I hope
It is horrible because it's not only pain, it's like that weird painful and itching and like in a place where you really shouldn't be itching.
it's so
Ever.
uncomfortable. I hope
And-
it never happens to me ever again.
Yeah, I mean, it will for sure. So, but you have to make sure that you're not are you sitting on the toilet too long with your phone?
I really consider myself to be a quick pooper. Like when my husband goes in there, he's in there for like 30 minutes. Like I could be in and out in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But I am looking at my phone. So, I don't know. I really don't think I'm as bad as other people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in this article they just advised that you know what's crazy actually? This study seemed to have been done on people that were over 45 years old.
Yeah, what about us young
So
people?
that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like if and it's just different cuz obviously like the older you get, the increased chance of hemorrhoids you have. But like when this generation that's had a phone their entire life gets to be this age, it's like I don't even know. It's just going to be so much worse and just to think about that.
Well,
God.
even when I told you I had it, you didn't believe me, and then I had to send you a picture.
Cuz you're not a risk factor. Like
Well-
you don't have
Maybe this is the conversation we need to have because maybe people in their mid 40s and up are the primary or at primary age to be at risk for this. But now, since my generation is totally addicted to their phones, we're going to be seeing it in a lot younger people because what did I have happening that made me at risk for it?
Well, I just wanted to make cuz constipation, sitting all day, there's certain things that could cause it for sure. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like a tumor on your ass that you thought you had, like since you weren't going to get it checked out, I don't want you ignoring you could get cancer like there. So I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't that.
It definitely wasn't. It looked like the textbook picture of hemorrhoids. Interesting. Okay, last story. In this beach town in Florida, there's this giant pirate statue, and I guess there have been arguments about relocating it. But a couple weeks ago, this meeting was set to take place to discuss if they were going to move it to this history museum or not. And just a couple of hours before, this council member is saying they were alerted by a quote credible source that human remains were in the statue.
In the peg leg.
In what is it called? Peg leg Pete, the statue.
Jesus. So, yeah, and apparently they got there without whoever owns the statue's permission.
So they were saying that, right? But I found another article that came out more recently, I think only like 5 or 6 days ago, that said they have come across emails that city officials have known about the remains being in the statue for at least a year and that they belong to a former pirate club member. So
I'm like, what makes you say like, okay, when I die, I want to be put in the peg leg of
If you're-
what's the name of this thing?
Peg leg Pete. If you're in a pirate club, I'd say you're probably interested in pirates, and that's maybe where the interest comes from.
They have to have permission because like if this thing's a statue, there had to be a way to access the inside of it to put the ashes in it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how did it get in there? But at the same time, they want to move it because it hasn't been holding
why
up
can't
very
they just-
well.
What this is the thing, like, why do people got to be so dramatic? Just frickin' move the statue, take the bag of ashes, stick them back in, and call it a day. Like, why does there have to be meetings about this?
quote, because it would diminish the significance of having the cremated remains of a former Pirate Club member.
But it's going to be in with the pirate.
This is the problem. It's been there for at least 40 years. So, and it's not holding up very well. So it's becoming a risk to public safety. Like, the thing is crumbling, which makes me think there might have been a hole in it somewhere for them to dump their remains in. And that's maybe why nobody knew about it.
So you're saying that the Pirate Club is still maintaining that location, but they're moving the statue.
They want to move the statue into a history museum.
I think that the guy would want to be in the history museum in the statue, the
He's
leg,
still
where
in
he
the
said
pirate.
he wanted to be in the pirate. Let him be in the pirate. There's no. Listen, there's still going to be a whole entire memorial of that, and he cared about the statue not being at the actual location of the club. Or you could get real creative and get the bag and split it in half and put half of it in the pirate and the other half at the club with a little plaque.
I just don't understand what all the drama is behind it. It's like, just move it. It's not, I don't think it's that big of a deal. If it's going to crumble, like, so you'd rather have it completely fall apart than just move it and have a museum
preserving it. Doesn't this guy have any legal
it.
next of kin that they could just ask to
Maybe
make an
they're the ones
executive
making
decision?
It difficult. This just seems like a non-problem, really. I mean, I just don't understand it. Okay, guys, we are going to be at the Wildlife CSI at Lake Tobias Wildlife Park on October 3rd, just as special guests. We're not presenters, but it's going to be an awesome experience, of course, because it's hosted by the mayor of CrimeCon herself, Cheryl McMcCullum. And then on October 18th, we are going to be at the Darkside New Jersey convention in Edison. Also, today is 9/11, so thank you to all of our first responder and anybody that served on that day, because I can't even imagine how horrible that was.
Yeah, it's just such a crazy day. Every single year, there's a certain vibe in the air because it's just that time of year where it's not really summer, but it's not really fall, but you could tell the time, like, it's changing. And I just remember that day was just one of these perfect early fall days. And there's just a certain vibe in the air that always just makes me think about that terrible, terrible day. And just, all of the firefighters that are still dealing with, and other first responders too, that are dealing with the cancers that they got helping on that day. Still to this day, it's just like a reminder every single year of it. You just can't ever move on from it. It's just terrible.
All right, well, on that note, again, thank you to everybody who came to CrimeCon over the weekend to see us. Hi to any new fans out there. If you have some reviews for us, please head over to Apple or Spotify. And if you have stories for us, please submit them to stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor, and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.